Okay. Welcome to everyone to this public people's hearing on unpaid pensions. My name is Dale McKinley. I am the chair of the Unpaid Benefits campaign, and I'm just going to give some introductory remarks, introduce our panel, give a little bit of contextual information about why we're here and what we're going to do today. And then I'm going to hand over for the proceedings then to start. I think everybody has a program in front of them, and we'll see what the proceedings of the day are. Just very briefly, after this we will then be having an address by Rosemary Hunter, who is the former Deputy Registrar of Pensions with the Financial Services Board, now at FSCA. And she was a whistleblower, and she will set the scene and the tone for a lot of the reasons why we're here today and what the crisis of unpaid benefits is all about. Then we will move directly into the testimonies. These will be broken up into testimonies according to different sectors of our economy: mining, steel, manufacturing, retail. You can see other factories. And session 2 before lunch would be domestic work and general workers. We'll break for lunch, and then our last session will be to hear from beneficiaries. In other words, those where the primary beneficiaries passed away, and we're looking at sisters, brothers, wives, husbands, children, others who are trying to access the deceased's pensions. We'll then have a tea break while the panel deliberates and takes in all of the testimonies, and then the panel will come back to respond to those testimonies for a good 40 minutes or so, and then we'll have some closing remarks, and that will be the end. Bear with us as we move through, and our Master of Ceremonies, Thomas Malakotsa. Thomas, would you stand up? Thomas is also an active member of the Unpaid Pensions campaign. Thomas will be our Master of Ceremonies, and Thomas's biggest job is going to make sure that people keep the time in there, because we have a lot of testimonies that we're going to hear. So that's our program. Let me quickly introduce the panel that we have with us today. We first of all want to thank all of you for making the time, for taking out of your busy schedules to come and be with us today and to hear these testimonies. On the far, I'm not going to say left or right, Shahira, I'm just going to say on the far side of the table there is Shahira Kala. Shahira is a scholar, activist, and filmmaker. She holds a master's degree in African Studies and a bachelor in Commerce and Philosophy, Politics, and Economics, as well as a BA Honors in Political Science. Shahira was, many of us know, or many of you might have heard of her as a student leader in the Feast Must Fall movement back here at Woods University in particular, and she has been active in a range of different struggles, particularly around decolonization of education and of the Universal Basic Income Plan. In the middle of the table is Advocate Jeff Budlander. Jeff is a senior advocate at the Cape Bar. He specializes in constitutional and human rights litigation and has served as an acting judge in the high courts in both Johannesburg and Cape Town. Welcome. And finally, Amanda Rinquist. Amanda is the National Education and Training Manager at Black Sash. I'm sure most of you know and have heard of Black Sash, which has been around with us for many, many, many years. Amanda has completed her Bachelor of Science in LLB at the University of Cape Town, and she's currently completing her LLM in Environmental Law at UCT as well. She's also been involved in various organizations working with racial inequality, treatment action campaign, struggle for antiretrovirals, and has also been active in the educational sphere in terms of literacy and medical clinic evenings for rural dwellers and farm workers in particular. I won't go, there's a whole range of other things that Amanda has done in her CV, but she is welcome. Amanda, thank you for taking the time. So just on to the main reason why we are here today. For those of you, I'm sure most of you are all aware, because the vast majority of people who are here in this room are those who are trying to trace, trying to access unpaid benefits, either for themselves or their families or their other beneficiaries. But for those of you who are not aware of the larger picture of the crisis of unpaid benefits in our country, it is estimated now over 50 billion rand in unpaid benefits. And we say unpaid because they are unpaid. They are not unclaimed. The fund administrators like to use the word unclaimed because they want to put the onus on people saying, well, they haven't claimed them. But as we know, many people have been trying to claim for years and years and years and years and still have not been paid. So we call them unpaid benefits. This 50 billion in unpaid benefits, around 50 billion, is owed to around 5 million people. Now, just to put that into perspective, in South Africa, about 18 million people, just under 18 million people, belong to some kind of pension fund. So if you're thinking about 5 million people who have not been paid, that's almost a third of what is presently people who are under pension funds. And of course, this goes back 20, 30, 40 years. But it's a large number of people. And the industry itself is dominated by a few fund administrators, particularly administrators such as Alexander Forbes, and there are Momentum and Old Mutual and others who are also involved. So there are several sides of this. So the one side is the fund administrators who hold these funds and who pay those funds out or do not pay them out, as the case might be, or who's supposed to be responsible for tracing people and finding them. Then you have the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, which is the regulatory body that is set up to regulate the industry and to oversee and to try to make sure that people adhere to the law. And then you have the Minister of Treasury, and they are the political principals. They are essentially the bosses of the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, and they appoint the commissioners and oversee the regulatory authority fundamentally. So the government is involved. And of course, there are others, Parliament and others who have not played a particularly very active role in this crisis at all, who should be part of this, and politicians and political parties, as well as, of course, the general public, those who are in civil society. The reason why the Unpaid Benefits Campaign and Open Secrets, who are the organizers of this event, have decided to hold this is precisely because there is a crisis. And a little bit of background to that crisis. Both Open Secrets and Unpaid Benefits, beginning about 5 or 6 years ago, began to try to open the door to a lot of this unpaid benefits as a result, partially of Rosemary's case. She will talk about this, I'm sure, her Constitutional Court case, whistleblowing on a whole range of canceled funds, and we won't get into that, but this provided an impetus. It provided a public interest. Many people started paying attention to this crisis. And many people had been suffering for many years, but it hadn't become a political issue. It had not become an issue in the minds of most South Africans. And they didn't really know what was going on. As a result of that, over the last several years, the advocacy efforts of Open Secret, through doing research, Unpaid Benefits Campaign, through mobilization, through targeting some of the fund administrators, trying to engage the Financial Sector Conduct Authority to change its attitude about regulation, to act on many of these concerns. This has risen to a now societal issue. It is now considered, unpaid benefits is considered to be something that needs to be dealt with. Nobody would disagree with that. The question is how to go about doing that and what needs to be done. But it remains fundamentally, as we were talking earlier with Pat, it remains, there is a real moral issue here, which is that those who are the most impacted, those who are the worst affected by this crisis, are those who suffered the most under apartheid, are those who were employed before 1994, who, because of not having IDs and the Don't Pass system and all sorts of other things, have gotten lost in that system and have been trying for 20, 30 years to access their pensions, which have meant life and death for many people. This is not some small amount of money that would just be where you could go buy a little bit more food or buy something. This is a situation where billions and billions of rands are owed to people that would make huge differences in their lives. And it's unacceptable absolutely unacceptable for there to be a situation where so many people are still suffering so long after democracy and are still paying for the sins of the apartheid state in that case. So it's not just a technical issue, it's not just a monetary issue, it's a social and moral issue that is very, very important for us to deal with. And that's why we're here today. And we welcome all of you, many of you who've been in this struggle for many, many years, trying to access benefits for yourselves, for your beneficiaries, others who are here. We welcome those who accepted our invitations. And I have to say, if you see these pieces of paper at the bottom here, these are for those who did not accept the invitations. So if you want to know who was invited but chose not to come, the pension fund adjudicator chose not to come. We won't talk about the reasons because they were very strange. But basically they said they didn't see any legislative necessity for them to listen to people. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Finance did not choose to come. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority did not choose to come. MIFA, the mining, the metal industry fund chose not to come. The Minister of Finance chose not to come. Alexander Forbes chose not to come. And Teva, also, of course, as you know, which was a recruitment agency and processing for mostly migrant workers in the mines, also chose not to come. Now that should say something to us. It should say something to us. I'm not going to talk about that, but I will leave that to you to assess what that means. All of these, so just to make very clear, we invited everybody to come to and listen. We think it's an important thing, but for their own reasons, they declined that invitation. So it should be noted. We really appreciate those of you who've taken your time, who've come today. We hope that these hearings will be not only a space for you to tell your stories, which is the most important thing, and for everybody to listen to those stories, but for this to provide even more pressure on the authorities, on those who are responsible, on the fund administrators, to begin to move further in dealing with this crisis so that we can get through and people can get what's rightfully theirs. Thank you very much for, again, being here today. I'm now going to end the introduction, and I'm going to hand over to Rosemary Hunter. And just to say, Rosemary, it's a pleasure, as always, to introduce you. Again, just for those of you who didn't hear me earlier on, Rosemary is the ex-Deputy Registrar of Pensions at the Financial Services Board, now the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, who blew the whistle on a whole range of handful funds where there was fraud and corruption and mismanagement, and has been at the forefront of the fight for unpaid pensions. Thank you so much.
Very happy to say I'm no longer the BBC and secrets are right there in the forefront, but I'm happy to help. As Dale mentioned, I was Deputy Executive Officer and Deputy Registrar of Pension Funds. That was from August 2013 until July 2016. So I worked for what was then called the Financial Services Board. And when I joined the Financial Services Board, according to the stats that it kept, there were around 22 billion. The unpaid benefits were in aggregate around 56 billion. So that was 2013. And they were due to approximately 1 million people. And as Dale said, it's now over 50 billion due to approximately 4 billion. Unfortunately, the stats are not kept up to date publicly as they used to be through the annual reports by the Registrar of Pension Funds. Now, I thought it was scandalous that there were 22 billion rand unpaid benefits. And I told the FSCA, and I said it in speeches and so on. And I had a detailed discussion document that was submitted to National Treasury in 2015 with a whole lot of proposals on legislative measures and other measures that could be taken to try to address the crisis. But here we are today, more than double the number, the amount, the aggregate value of unpaid benefits, and 4 times as many people entitled to them. Now, while preparing this address, I came across an article that I cut out from the newspaper in 2006, because this issue has actually been a concern of mine for a very long time. There was an article in the Star newspaper, and it the headline, 970 million rand in pension benefits waiting to be claimed. And the article said, amongst other things, there is a pot of 970 million rand sitting in retirement funds, which former members and their beneficiaries have not claimed. The Financial Services Board has launched a campaign to help retirement funds track down former fund members and beneficiaries who have not bothered to claim the benefits due to them. See, that's your problem, Thomas. You just didn't bother. I mean, this is the language of this. I'm quoting Unpaid, who was at that time the Deputy Registrar of Pension Funds. And he said, Unpaid Deputy Officer for Retirement Funds, the FSB, says an unclaimed benefit is a benefit that has not been paid by a retirement fund to a member or beneficiary within 12 months of the date it became legally due and payable. The FSB has contacted all pension funds and created a database from 967 funds, which indicate there were 135,000 members that owed about 970 million rand. So that was less than a billion those days. But we're appealing to those members and beneficiaries to fight for those benefits. So you can see the attitudes. As I said, it was all about members not coming forward. And that certainly wasn't the case. We know that there were multiple causal reasons why there were so many unpaid benefits and which had grown dramatically. There was the old apartheid employment practices, where people were recruited, whatever their name, they were put down as Johannes, surname, and said to be born on 1 January 1900. And so some of the data, some of the records are really terrible, and it's impossible to identify some of the beneficiaries from the information that's on the records. There was also the law that required migrant labour to leave the country straight after their employment contracts terminated. So if you had to go home to Mozambique, Botswana, Angola, how do you claim your benefit from so far? Mine working. There's also poor administration, record keeping. There were administrators, some administrators bought other administrations, fund administration business. They had different systems. They didn't immediately update their own systems with all that data, and so there was data and information on different systems, which complicated the problem, and sometimes funds were closed because the system said there was no money left, no liabilities with that system. And those records said that there were still assets and liabilities. And yes, there was ignorance on the part of members. Members who might have lost their jobs or their business closed down, they wouldn't know necessarily that the fund is a separate legal entity, and just because their employer has closed down doesn't mean the fund is closed down, and they can still go to the administrator and ask, apply for their benefit from the fund under that administration. We also know that that 2006 article, the number must have been understated, because there were at that stage around 13,000 registered funds, and they created this database from less than 1,000 of them. But even today, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority regularly asks retirement funds and their administrators to submit quarterly reports, data and information about unpaid benefits, so they can put it into what they call their search engine. The facility on the FSCA website, where you can put in an ID document and see whether there's a chance. It's no guarantee, but there is maybe a chance that there's a benefit due to you in a fund, and then they give you the contact details of who you can contact. Unfortunately, every time I've ever tried to help somebody, and I put in a name and an ID number, it throws up pages and pages of possible hits of possible connections. So that needs to be improved. But still, it's a useful tool to start with. But what is worrying is that the FSCA recently put out a circular saying that a lot of funds are not submitting this information. And yet there's no sign that the FSCA is actually taking action and saying you are required to submit this information, and you're going to take legal action and impose penalties or whatever else that might be appropriate to do when funds don't apply, and what should be a very clear directive from the FSCA. And so this kind of passive please submit your information approach is very disappointing. Now, 2 years after that 2006 article about these unpaid benefits was published, the FSCA started what's called this cancellation project, where it said there are a whole lot of funds where it hadn't been receiving financial statements, so these were clearly dormant funds, they weren't active, and it wanted to clear out what it called the dead wood, but it needed somebody to certify, they just, not even on that day, just to say on a form called Form F, Form F1, that the fund had no assets and liabilities because the registrar under Section 27 of the Pension Funds Act would only cancel the registration of a fund on proof to his satisfaction that it had no assets and liabilities. And for him it was sufficient that somebody who is employed by the fund administrator, so has perhaps an interest in not making sure money gets paid out, especially if the funds are heavily written in terms of insurance policy. He would appoint these people as so-called trustees, and they would send in a certificate saying funds got no assets and liabilities. And some of these were just pumped through, so there clearly wasn't proper investigation done in many, many cases, and a whole lot of funds were cancelled. And it was in that context that when I arrived at the FSCA in 2013, and I was asked to cancel registrations of funds, and I said, where's the paper trail, where are the financial statements, what investigations have you as FSB employees done to be sure that this information is correct? Because my understanding of the law in the old is 80 cases of that's true. You can't just simply rely when you are a decision maker, a public entity decision maker, and just rely on statements given by people jobbies who you're supposed to supervise. But the registrar said that was good enough for me, and he cancelled the registrations of many funds. And so in a recent decision by the Secrets and the Unpaid Pensions campaign to kind of follow-up litigation to say what you're doing about these funds that we registered, we discovered several of their assets and liabilities. The current division executive for retirement funds stated under oath that only 76 funds have been cancelled, whereas we know from our litigation that, well, we know Liberty in a quite courageous disclosure before the judgment of the Constitutional Court announced that it was going to go to court to asking for orders setting aside the registration to about 95 funds, for which was a hold of about 150 million rand. So that was evident when, even through the course of the litigation, we worked out at least 235 or so funds that we could say definitely those funds were cancelled erroneously because they still have assets and liabilities. Now, going back to what I discovered in the FSCA, initially, I blew a whistle, I put in reports to the board of the FSCA, of the FSB as it was called then, and suffered all sorts of harassment and attempts to buy them off, asking for a fine fee, makes it to be around and so on. And I reported this to the board, blew the whistle, and I said, I think all of this stuff is happening because of this cancellations project, and I have come to the view myself, but I've also had it independently confirmed by senior counsel that there are a whole lot of irregularities in this. And so as a result of that, the board appointed Justice O'Regan to look at some of the legal issues, and the APMG to look at an example of the funds, but they were only able to look at records at the FSCA offices, and the board then didn't like what the APMG said because they said that there's a whole lot of money, millions unaccounted for, and there would need to be further investigations, and they didn't like that report, so they fired APMG, and they just appointed Attorney General the board to conduct further investigations. But these were investigations. But that was done after I had launched my litigation in January 2016. So these investigations didn't start until after I launched my litigation, when I applied to court for an order compelling the FSCA, the FSB, to investigate all these cancellations with a view to see if anybody had been prejudiced. There were still assets and liabilities. And that was quite a successful move on the part of the FSB, because when it came to the courts, they said that the FSB and the FSCA afterwards have been investigating, and eventually the Judge Kampepe of the Constitutional Court said that really it would be like almost a judicial overreach to ask for more, to require that more investigations be done, although only a few hundred cancellations had been investigated. She said, it seems to me to be irreconcilable with an assumption or acceptance that the FSCA is run by responsible and competent people to order them to conduct investigations additional to those already conducted. Now, we've put all sorts of evidence before the court about these irregularities and how the investigations conducted to date have been superficial, but unfortunately she was not persuaded, the majority were not persuaded. 3 judges were. They said they would have ordered that all of the investigations be investigated. but they were a minority. So that was ultimately unsuccessful, but what the benefit of that litigation was that this information was exposed, and so I've been asked to talk a little bit about what has changed since then and what has not changed. So first of all, the most exciting thing for me, and this actually happened before the Constitutional Court judgment in 2018, was that the UBC was formed. And suddenly I didn't feel so alone. Obviously I had lots of friends at the FSCA, or FSB in those days, when I left. I had a tea party with about 75 people, almost all from the retirement funds division that I was the head of before I left, and most of the people from the actuarial department. I was not this crazy person who was all alone, as the FSCA likes to suggest. And strangely enough, in open secrets litigation recently, really, I had nothing to do with that litigation, really, but felt the need to continue to create this impression and say, I have reported to the board, not whistleblower reports, but just a litany of complaints about my boss and about the board. But anyway, that's unimportant. But the point is, once that UBC was formed, suddenly there was a grassroots organization holding mass meetings, this groundswell, and what was really nice is that whereas before individual members of the public, they want to claim a benefit, had to go one by one, and it's very easy to get turned away. We've heard lots of stories at these mass meetings and other meetings of people who've gone to NIPA, for example, which is not even a for-profit organization, it's an administration company owned by the two funds it administers, and saying that they're just not assisted unless they put a little envelope across the desk for the person behind to help them with it. So as individuals, it's very hard. Through this whole publicity, there's been also some independent activities. ASISA, which is the Association for Savings and Investments in South Africa, represents the long-term insurance companies and collective investment schemes. They have been collecting information around unpaid insurance policy proceeds, and money of them has been sitting in collective investment schemes, proceeds of investments in those collective investment schemes. And they also try to get their members to go out and find people and pay them. Unfortunately, everybody's doing the same thing. I think in many cases trying to find the same people, and there isn't really implemented effort at the moment. But the Banking Association apparently did some surveys about money sitting in dormant bank accounts. So there's money there, but nobody has been transacting in a bank account for years and years. And I heard in about 2019, they estimated there was about 50 billion rand sitting in those things. So there was, we do know that some of the life insurance companies have made a big thing about going out and trying to find beneficiaries of long-term life insurance policies. They know that the member has died, they're a policy holder, and they're trying to find their beneficiaries to pay out proceeds. I think that some of the administrators are here. I most particularly commend Liberty, and I want to acknowledge Linda Monteza. She's the executive for strategy at Liberty, that have made some fundamental changes that are much more transparent than they used to be, and much more transparent than the others. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but Liberty has actually employed a whole bunch of people and it's had toy-toying in front of it, and it's had meetings with UBC, and I hope that there will be more constructive engagements in the future between UBC and Liberty. There are various independent initiatives, and I'll mention the compensation committee that I've recently met in due course. The FSCA has new leadership. That's another excellent development since I lost my case in 2018. The old guard has gone, there is a new executive, and I have no reason to believe that the new executive, the new exco, are corrupt or don't want to do their jobs. I do fear, though, that they're getting all their information from the head of retirement funds, who, in this affidavit in the recent open secrets case, has vigorously defended what was done in the past in a way that seems completely inappropriate, and there were also lots of misrepresentations in there. But what is nice about this new leadership, and it's important to speak to the exco and not just to the retirement division's people, is that they put out a strategy document the regulatory strategy document for 2021 to 2025, in which they've made a commitment. Page 7, it says, we will undertake our work in line with our guiding principles as set out in Section 7 of the Financial Sector Regulation Act. We will be preemptive and proactive, intensive and intrusive, risk-based and proportional, transparent and consultative, outcomes-based, comprehensive and consistent. We will be a credible deterrent to improper conduct by financial sector role players. And we will align our work with applicable international standards. This is wonderful stuff, but we're not seeing enough of that in the context of the retirement supervision. But what I did hear that they're meeting yesterday to Open Secrets UBC and the FSCA, and also that the FSCA has agreed to have regular meetings. I hope we'll hear more about that. In the past, it's been very difficult to just be ignored. There was one very difficult meeting. I wasn't there with CV before he left. So hopefully there's going to be a new approach from the FSCA. Also what is new from 2020, and this comes from the affidavits filed by Alana Nakabella when they were opposing this open secrets litigation. He says that from 2016 to 2020, in 4 years, 22 billion was paid to approximately 592,000 people of unpaid benefits. So, and he describes in some detail the various measures, engagements that he had to encourage funds and their administrators to go make sure that they pay all the people who due the money to them. But unfortunately, the numbers are not going down. And as I mentioned, the FSCA has continued to vigorously defend the way the cancellations project was conducted in the past. And and this is just very odd, because what has come out of this recent Open Secrets UBC litigation has been Alana's affidavit that attached to a whole lot of reports that were previously secret, particularly further reports on investigation by Jonathan Mort. And in one of them is his third inspection report, which he finished and produced by the time the Constitutional Court hearing took place, but they did not disclose it. But now we can read it, and he says in that report, this report deals with assets held by Liberty as an insurer, which assets are either in respect of unclaimed benefits originating from funds, or assets relating from funds, deregistered funds, and other entities in respect of which it's not clear whether there's a benefit liability. The amounts are significant. And altogether, these assets, called legacy assets, were about 430 million rand. Now, that's a lot more than had been disclosed in 2018 when David Munro, the announced that there was assets, unclaimed benefits of about assets of deregistered funds worth about 130 million. So this is huge, but you'd expect that we would have heard something about it and heard more about what steps the FSCA was taking to make sure that this situation was fixed. But it took litigation from Open Secrets and UBC to get this information out. So, in his affidavit, he keeps vigorously defending these things, but he also shows that as a result of that litigation, and I think as a result of, and he mentions it, Open Secrets and UBC interventions and correspondence, they have done a lot of things at the FSCA. They've had lots of engagements with the administrators, and so I think you can say that there have been major positive developments. What we haven't seen is definitive action. For example, he says in his affidavit that Momentum says that they don't feel the need they have to go to court to ask to set aside the cancellations of the registrations of funds which were cancelled when they still had liabilities, because these were underwritten funds. So any asset was a policy of insurance, the fund was deregistered, nobody was claiming their money, and so they don't feel there's a legal duty to go to court like Liberty had done in relation to 35 funds. And so we don't see anything about a commitment from the FSCA, an instruction. They did issue a circular in 2019 saying that if an administrator finds that they're worth funds on its administration that were deregistered erroneously, it must go to court to have those the cancellations set aside. And that's the transparent process you'd expect. But Momentum says no, we don't think we have to, and all that the FSCA says in that affidavit is we continue to engage with Momentum about it. Alexander Forbes is the same. There was money, secret profit money. and they basically have decided to try and find people and pay them shares that the FSCA appears to have allowed Alexander Forbes to decide who gets what of that money, rather than get the board's registration reinstated, get a board of trustees, and they must make the decision. Alexander Forbes is doing it itself, and we don't know what will happen with monies when they can't find anybody. Does Alexander Forbes get to just keep that money? So that is disturbing. But there have been changes in the standards in which the cancellation project is now running. There are much more vigorous standards of proof. They're no longer appointing administrators, employees as trustees. They have to be independent trustees or trustees who used to be work for the employer or were members of the fund and so on. So that's good. And there are high standards. There's a kind of an assurance that has to be provided by an auditor. And so I think that we can say that there has been considerable improvement in the way things are done. I'm going to wrap up. There are a couple of concerns. There is legislation now before Parliament to provide for what's called the two-pot system. It arises out of a campaign by some trade unions during COVID for people to be allowed to access some of their retirement savings because they were starving. They were still employed, so they couldn't get their benefits out. Some people actually resigned in order to get their benefits so they could feed their families, because while they were still employed, they weren't getting their normal salaries, as you will recall. And there was pleas for urgent measures to allow people to access this money. That didn't nothing happens urgently in that regard. But what Treasury has come up with is a proposal to say that every fund must allow for sort of two kinds of retirement savings pot. One you can access before retirement, up to 1/3, and the rest has to stay in the fund until retirement. Even if you leave your job, the money must stay behind until you reach retirement age, and then you get that. So if you've got a crisis, even if you're still employed, you can withdraw some of that money. It has to be carefully controlled and so on. But so that is the two-pot system. But the problem that this creates in our context is that if the law goes through as planned, nobody will know. It will be a compulsory preservation. So if nobody doesn't claim their benefit, you won't know it's not a claimed benefit, because the assumption will be it's preservation money, and they will come when they retire. And so it will be difficult to keep a handle on what the numbers are. So we need to keep an eye on that. We have also seen in some of the FSCA documents that the FSCA is working on a plan to deal with what's called, financial assets, these money in dormant bank accounts, insurance policies, and so on, a more holistic plan. But it's been working on this for 2 years, and all we've seen to date is a draft amendment to the Conduct of to the Pension Funds Act to provide for a national unclaimed benefit fund. So everybody can dump their money in there and make it somebody else's problem. And we haven't seen anything about the policy positions and so on. When I read in the papers that they were doing this, I offered to help, and the commissioner said, that's great, I'll get my people to contact you. I think that was more than a year ago. Nothing further. So everything is still a bit secret. I need to wrap up. Last thing. I want to just mention that the Compensation Commissioner, they deal with compensation for mine workers who suffer occupational injuries and diseases. We recently met with him and some of his colleagues. He's showing the way, from what I can see. They've had a workshop with the information regulator to discuss, because a lot of retirement funds say they don't want to get information out because of POPI, the Protection of Personal Information Act. And this workshop, the information regulator said that's nonsense. If it's there, if you're sharing information about somebody in order to comply with a legal duty, such as to pay benefits, that is not a defense. And so they've got connections with local premiers in the provinces. They're working with ex-mine workers groups, and that shows what can be done. It's got nothing to do with the financial sector. Like mining houses are funding a lot of this work, and so I think that's very exciting. And so there have been a lot of positive developments since 2018, when the Constitutional Court dismissed my case. The FSCA open secrets litigation was settled recently, but it has revealed a huge amount and has maintained the pressure and given room for further engagements with the FSCA, and hopefully to hold it to the standards that they've committed themselves to in this strategy document, particularly around accountability, inclusiveness, so that they don't just continue to have meetings with the industry, which is the administrators, but actually have meetings with people who, like you, who are trying to help members of the public get their money. Thank you.
Language proficiency. Yeah. Are we now sleeping or what? Thank you very much, Rosemary, for the lovely speech and you have given us a deep, lovely background in terms of our pension funds, the surpluses, and the unpaid benefit funds. Okay, comrades, my name is Thomas Malokotsa. You can see I belong here. I belong to this father. Do you know who the father is? Amanda! Amanda! Viva, basically, viva! Viva, you see, viva! Viva! Viva, anyone feeling viva! Viva! Viva, Manuel Musiale, viva! Viva! Viva, Rosemary Hunter, viva! Viva! Viva, Telme Kili, viva! Viva! Viva, Linda Matuda, viva! Viva! Family over, my friend. Family over, family over, family over, family over, my friend. Hurry, comrades. Thank you, comrades. I think, according to our program, really, we need to push the beneficiaries and former members of these funds, of our various funds, who are going to testify right now. I think we're running out of time, and my apologies for that, because now we will have to look at the time. Please bear with us, because now the first person that I'm going to call over to come and testify here, I will just give a grace of about 10 minutes due to time. Okay? Viva Michael Martin! Viva! Viva! Marta! Thank you, comrades. The first person whom I'm going to call right now is Mr. Thomas Sekhoto, who will speak on behalf of the mining sector. Thank you.
Viva comrades! Viva! Viva! Viva comrades! Viva! Viva! Thank you, Mr. MC. Allow me just to say thanks to Rosemary on behalf of all the tax-mine workers for whistleblowing. Thank you. Thank you, UPC, Thank you, Open Secret, for organizing something like this, because the truth will come today, or will be here. Really, I had Rose and Dave, they have already spoken about this. The one which I've got, we have already mentioned it. The first one, I think, President Thabo Mbeki did mention this, but nothing happened. President Zuma did mention this. They know about the unclaimed benefits, but nothing. I wonder whether is it the FSCA or is it the administrators? But somebody is not doing his job. Then slowly we have gone through all this. And then coming to this, I am Thomas, not Thomas Monopota, Thomas Sekoto. I worked at Ego for 19 years. And then we know that the mines closed down without a proper notification. If there is, it will be on the 11th hour. And that's the way benefits lie. One, the gold medal medical provident fund. Secondly, there was a South African insurance which was liquidated. There was a pension fund and there was a provident fund. Let's talk about the provident fund. Provident fund, when Ego closes down in 2006, it had 40.2 million rand. 40.2 million rand. It was liquidated, but the UBC, they keep on sending emails one after one another until it was reinstated. After it was reinstated, they keep on sending emails until eventually at the end, Jacques Malan, the liquidator, he responded with open quote. He says, the work that was, all right, I refer to your letter dated the 26th of May, 2022. He says, the work that was done to verify that all the permanent to the members, all the payments to the members, and as at the liquidation date were made correctly, were concluded and submitted to the FSCA on the 25th of August 2021. We have spent many hours verifying that all the payments were correctly made and that the interest and on the assets were correctly added to the member payments. But until up to today, nothing has been done. We haven't received anything. We are still waiting. We don't know whether we are still waiting for another 16 years so that we can get that. But the liquidator, he has made it, and the FSCA, they've got it. There's nothing happening. Somebody is not doing his job. But in general, ex-workers, ex-mine workers are being exploited. E.g., TB, silicosis, and asbestosis. We know that Richard Spoor, they've won this case, and apparently now they've handed over to the Amiso Trust. And I heard last week on the radio, they said they are in the Eastern Cape. They are actually looking for all these ex-employees. And there's no compensation for mine workers and pension benefits. Mine workers' compensation fund. And there's no entitlement on sick fund, which was deductible. And that, I'd like just to go down. You see, there you see, is next to me. So at the time,
One more time, please, for that photo. Okay, I will now call upon Peter Malika, Mr. Peter Malika, who is a member of UBC. You see, with you, I'm giving you 2 minutes, brother.
Thank you, everyone. I was caught off guard. I couldn't think maybe on the call because I was thinking of something yesterday. Now, I'd like to thank the panel here, Amanda, the advocate, Serena, and everybody who is here, Open Secret, and UBC, everybody. Dane has just mentioned earlier on that those who are here on the floor, the papers on the floor, are the ones who have been invited. They choose not to come here. If you can look at what is written here, don't steal our pension benefits. What they did now, they did steal our pension. That's why they are not here. They are ashamed. Now, looking at the FSCA as the mother body, the regulator, the one that is supposed to monitor these ones, he couldn't monitor properly. It means now their firstborn child, who is Alexander Forbes. Remember, Alexander Forbes was established in 1935. He's the oldest administrator in this country. Meaning now, FSCA, it was established in 1991. Meaning, if Alexander Forbes is controlling FSCA. He's the oldest. That is why now they are dragging their feet to monitor Alexander Forbes and Liberty and these other administrators. Now, all of them, they are sitting eyeing the piece of cake. That is why even today, if ever FSCA it was monitoring this administration, we couldn't be sitting to this 51 billion. If ever they were monitoring, but we are sitting on 51 billion of which is unclaimed. Let's use our mental. We are sitting on 51 billion unclaimed. Because of what? FSCA doesn't monitor this properly. Are we together? Yes. Meaning now, from now onwards, they are we told them yesterday, I think where they are now, drinking their teas, or maybe only over the weekend, I don't think they'll drink their whiskeys comfortably. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Comrade Peter. Thank you, Comrade Peter. Okay, the next person that I will call is Mr. Stephen Onife.
I'm from Smoking Drive. Smoking company, take about NASCAR, Dubai, and security sector. My problem to be here, I'm here to come and say my unpaid benefit funds to the administrators who were administering those companies in those years. So, more relating of the one that go who participated in the moral. Who were never really, maybe the government by the companies and challenges. Canada is in a royal second. The cow really want to go for the one that take off the so I cannot say that you are not working the guy enough anymore. I think.
Thank you very much. I'm just trying to give context to what Stephen has said. Stephen has worked for many companies. Nescam, for instance, when he worked at Nescam, they had a letter that was given. I can read it so that you can access it. He was amongst the ones that were mentioned that they could not get their money due to the fact that they did not have enough information. That was in 2017, the letter that was given. So, despite doing all that, Stephen, even up to today, has not got his money. We sent a form, we filled in a form and sent it there, and he still has no answer even today. Now, let me add to the problems that we're having. It was now said Alexander Fox was the one doing Janelle Nescam. Now they've changed. They say it's Momentum Metropolitan Line. And you have to start afresh. I thought they would be transferring some information to go there, but this is not happening. So I have a list here which I can leave so that you can use. He also worked for security, and all that has not been paid for years. And we fill in forms, we send forms, we're getting no joy. So that's just the bottom line of what I wanted to say. We work in every way that is appropriate to work and send the forms, and nothing is happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Moses, for making this translation. And the next person that I will call now is Mr. Andrew Zwane.
My name is, as it said, that okay, I'm Michael Andrew Zwane.
I'm one of the victims of these, the unpaid benefits from companies that I worked, and for my brother, my dad, my mother, and my brother-in-law. As it is said that, okay, everything has been done, we filled in forms and everything that they needed in order to process our claims. Nothing came up until today. I work for companies like NASCAP, African Cables, Fidelity Gas, and recently XPS Services. Since 1977 up until now, 2017. And then we started to lodge in complaints of what we call unpaid claims, but up to now, nothing has come to fruit. So you can see that, okay, we have no trust now in our, in our financial sectors. Because now all of them, the reality is now has proved that, okay, nobody is coming to the front to come and help us, to show us the way, or maybe to say, okay, what is holding them there, and then to pay our funds. So today, I don't know, maybe as the other people have spoken here, that maybe something will come up. We don't know, but we trust that, okay, these people who are helping us will eventually come out with a solution, so that we should get our payments. Thank you very much for that.
That is one coming from Nati. Comrades, please bear with me. Sometimes I will speak in my mother tongue. Then, if need be, in South Africa, well. Okay, thank you, comrades. And the next person to come and testify here is Mr. Eric Ramachisera.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Ramachisera. I'm coming from Orange Farm. Sorry. Orange Farm branch. And we've been with UBC since 2017. I worked for a bedding company which is Dalopino for more than 80 years. But before that, I worked for Esco back in the 80s. So, to be honest with you, at the moment, I really feel like heaven. There's heaven in this place, because I think this is where we're going to get more answers, or this is where we're going to get more help from the panel up there. We thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Member Rosemary, for helping us so that we can be productive in our country. We filled the forms in 2019. I never got an answer. My wife filled the forms, and when the answer came back, she was told there was no money. Now, in 2016, we went in Marshall Street, whatever names, I don't know if I can call the names. If I was again, yes. Well, I tried to claim for my father-in-law, and then unfortunately she was passed on. He was passed on that time. And as then they said to me, the people who have passed away from 2007 downwards, they are not liable to claim your money. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. As I said before, I can feel the heaven in this place. Maybe I think the Lord can help us. Thank you so much, the panel.
Kale sen tate eri kaman promenade akutata. Okay, comrades. I will now call the next person. Is it Mr. or is it Miss Pomelo? Is it Miss or Mr.? A comrade from UBC, Amanda! Viva Pomelo, viva! Viva comrade Pomelo, viva!
Morning, everyone. Morning, Rosemary, and the panel outside. I am Mr. Jonas Molloy. They call it May 4. What means? Mr. Jonas Molloy. I'm from Sharpeville. I am Mr. Jonas Molloy from Sharpeville. The town is Vereeniging. I'm 58 years old. I'm an ex-employee of GPO. The previous years, they were calling a general post office. So I worked there at many years, 10 years. So from 1984 till 1995, then GPO, it ends there. It goes over to Telkom from 1996 till 2003. But the money that gave me was the peanuts. It was less than 500,000. So they used to give us what we call it force package those years. So we claim. I want to thank UBC because I'm one of the members of the UBC and claim it campaign. So we're still doing a process of claiming, but now nothing happens. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to cut the story short to save time. Thank you.
Thank you, comrades. I think the next person, and I missed it, I mistakenly missed it. I think the next person who will come and testify is Mr. Franz Setlake.
Say good afternoon. Because now it's nearly 12 o'clock. So can you hear me, all of you? All right, I just want to show you the exhibit of corruption in this country. Because other people just read the corruption on the news, but we who are used to it, because all these things which are here and there. I can tell you that I know their names, so I can't mention it here because tomorrow they will say, Franz had mentioned my name at the open secret meeting. So what I just want to give you is just a highlight. How does this corruption started in this country? Who knows that? I'll show you how does it started. I just want to give you a background so that you must know how can we catch those group of corrupt people. So say before I start talking here, I read Open Secret and UBC and also Rosemary Hunter was the one which I read on him on the news all of the time. So my name is Franz Setlake. I'm working at Sasol. Now I've retired because I'm tired. I'm working but my money doesn't grow. What can you do? Just tell me. You are working, but when you go and check there on the system, the money just remain the same. Who can help you? You can give me an answer. You go to the HR, they say go to your administrator. I go to Alexander Forbes say go to your HR. So who can help you here? So today I'm here now to get help from this house. That's why I'm here today. So my complaint is that I've now retired last year, September. The company, I presented all the papers, yeah. So I'm waiting for the money, September, October, November, December, I don't get money. So what can you do? I'm now retired, the children want food. What can you do if you are a human being? I just want to give you the highlight why we are here today. So, November, I go to PFA to launch a complaint. It's now September now. Look now, it's September now. I launched the complaint November last year. Until today, they say, Sasson is still busy, so I don't know what must I eat. That's why I'm here today. So I can't talk a long story. So what I'm here today, I just want to get the advice from Open Secret. What can you do from now to get rid of this administrator? Because they've looted billions of rand. I can say thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Stade, comrades, is it difficult for us to climb this ladder? Is it difficult? No. No. Unity is strength, comrades. Amanda! Amanda! Viva UPC, viva! Viva! Viva Open Secrets, viva! Viva! Down, administrator, down! Okay, comrades, time is running out for me. I'll call upon the next person is Mr. Mr. Isao Pofu. And after his testimony, comrades, I will request us at least to ask the panel after his testimony. I will request also the panel maybe if they can have maybe ask questions, the judges, or they can make comments. Can we allow them to do that? Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
So, kabaka kawa mwana kyo, leona yale pakisofo manje mtatu. Kabaka te la tela hape, ise dumo yukana. Kadere kapote, power looking operator power price. After that, take seventy na kweke le ka promote wa kafiwa for lifter drive. Ka driver for lifter. So Radon Fuguti wa Mofe, qui a appelé les chelete, avec appelé les chelete. Au final, la chelete wa Swift. How much chelete is from my team now? Avec une secret à posting daily, coach manufacture. Et c'est que c'est un peu que l'elle côté. So, quand appelé la benefit zaka, how le tu le qu'il a califuma l'officiel. So the company didn't have that in celebrity, so telling security in Kenya America. So I can imagine. So you are in UBC, equal celebrity
tsona di-benefit tseo tsa rona. Ke nna se ke se kopang, ke kopa hore ba re thuse tje ka ha se re bona hore di-benefit tsa rona di tla hlaha. Ke a e leboha UBC, ke kopa Modimo a be le rona, e ba thuse re be re fumane di-benefit tsa rona. Ke fella hakalo, ha ke na mantswe a mangata. Ke a leboha.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pofu. Fortunately, I didn't hear all, but at least, can somebody come forward maybe for a minute or two to come and explain something what is just said? Did you hear anything more? Comrade Moses? No, just to translate, just a little bit.
Okay. The gentleman has said he worked for a company and he had an injury on the form and he's still not yet paid. He went to Steeldale and had some work and he was retrenched. Now he's sitting without any source of income. He hopes that the UBC can rise up and help him so that they must claim for the benefits that they have. That is the answer.
Thank you for very much. If this is not the right time, I think maybe they will comment after, maybe at the end. If anything that, yeah, I think maybe we can carry on with my program. I think
I have a question I think it was from Setlale, spoke just before Mr. Pofu. I wanted to know, Mr. Setlale, what your experience was like when you lodged a complaint at the regulator. So you're in the audience now.
Please come forward.
That's my one question. But I also want to maybe, can you guys hear me? To maybe explain that our role as the panel is to listen and to make sure that your voices are heard, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're able to take up individual issues, but we hope that this forum can be the match that lights up actions. I know that there's media here today. We hope that there's a call after this for action. Like Rosemary said, the thing that's changed is that UBC has been born and Open Cities has taken up this campaign. So we want to help along those campaigns, but we're not judges. We're definitely not judges, as you heard us, our culture. So just wanted to make sure that everyone understood what we can and can't do. But I would really like to know your experience, Ron, of the experience of you, because you work at Sasol, right? I think you lodged a complaint about your pension. So what's that experience like with the adjudication board?
Okay, as I have reported that I was working at Sasol. I retired last year. Now I'm waiting for my pension fund lump sum. Now the company told me, France, here is your paper. I'll send to your administrator, which is was NBC. It changed to NBC to Alcan. Now it's Momentum. They are waiting for this billion. Somebody want to get some internet before they finish. So I don't know how can this panel help me. Now I take my case to PFA. To PFA, they give me the reply. They say, okay, France, we'll get your story. We'll send all your complaints to the administrator. I'm still waiting. It's November, December. Look now, it's September now. I was there last month. I talked with some of the administrators. They say they are still calculating your money too. How can they calculate my money for 9 months? So what must I do? Then I go again, I phone them. They say the actuary of Sasol and the fund, they are busy because there is a lot of corruption with the money is going to the drain. So that's what I want this panel, those why were here, and how the judges and Rosemary Hunter can help us. So we must put it our issue correctly so that we must not get a problem how to solve it. It's very easy. Look, I go to PFA, which I know that is an ombudsman. You know that FSCA is the administrator. They just give license to these fathers. Why did you know they just go there? Today they change the name. What they want to do? Nothing. So these people here, I think today they will help us. That's it. That's why I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Stalin. I think maybe just to add one word or two. Mr. Stalin, their provident fund is called Chemical Industries National, CINPF, which is a very corrupt, which is run by the union, and it's very corrupt. I think there's a brown envelope that is always moving under the table. I mean, it's the honest truth, comrades. Amanda! Yes. Amanda! Yes. Thank you, comrades. That's all I was just saying. Okay, the next person that I will call is Mr. Jacob. Round of applause, please.
UBC e re butse mahlo ne re sa tsebe letho rona kaofela ya re bula mahlo UBC hore ne tlo le dipampiri tsa lona le tle tsona re tsamaile ra ba ra fihla ho dipleke tse ngata ntse re batla ditjhelete tsa rona ra di thola ke sebeditse le nna Kadak for 9 years. It's my twin brother on Muhammad Iso and Jacob. It's my twin brother who said I'm going to let him out of Kadak. Let's say it's a good thing. Kadak engineering. Let's say it's 9 years from 1972. 9 years of Hanan Tori to see how I'm going to make me. Jolly hair. Udiman Totel Casereta chemical for 17 years. Limote, I didn't get nothing. Nothing. Pension fund. I'm old enough now. I've got 76 years now. I didn't get nothing.
Astisha, asebenza ngase-electrolyte. Maningi amakhampani engiwasebenzile, ngasebenza ngase-Medmark. Ayikho into engiyizuza kuleyo khampani. Ngasebenza ngakuphi futhi e-Hedges Park. Ngangisebenza ngama-chemicals. Nakhona azange ngathola lutho ukuphuma kwami lapha. Ngagcina sengigcina eCadbury. eCadbury yona ngisebenze 19 years ago. Nakhona ngilimala nje eCadbury ngawa ngiselile meeting. Nangiwa kuyile meeting bangithatha bangisa kudoktor. Ngalimazwa idoktor. Bangithatha bangisa for physiotherapy. Batho ukuthi ngihambisile isandla sala sangibhekisa bathi no angeke usaphinde ukusebenza. Bona eCadbury bangipha i-retirement inqono yohlala ekhaya nakhona ngathola lokhu ngikutholayo okunye ngingakuthola and ngangihamba nayo ubaphofu si-aplayela enye imali kwezinye iy'ndawo so basipha leso sithembiso since from 2017 till now sazincedwa yi-UBC njengoba chaza nayo ukuthi wathola umuntu amchazisela ngayo i-UBC saza ngalawo maphepha-ke njengoba sesiza khona. Okay, ngiyabonga.
Please come and translate. Comrade. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Brad. Okay. Once again, trying to translate and make sure we all understand. His last employment was with Cadbury's, which we worked as well for about 11 years. And he got an early retirement due to health issues. And as I say, he got injured at work, but still, no payment was made. The last he had, while he was with his friend, Mr. Poff, the other one, was the Cadbury company calling him to sign documents that they will be paying him and the medical, of course, for his medications and things, and that's the last he had. Nothing has been done since then. So once again, UBC needs to be on the rescue. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'm on the next chapter, on our second session. I think after this session, we are going to break for lunch. We're going to break for lunch, and because now it's nearly maybe 2-3 minutes after 12 o'clock. And then okay, comrades. Now our second session is, now we get into the domestic workers who will come forward and testify, and general workers. I'm now going to ask, is that Miss Nadia? Is it a missed or missed? Chabalat. Nadia Chabalat. Finally, a lady is coming forward to come and testify. Amanda! Viva, ladies, viva! Viva! Viva, ladies, viva! Viva! Down with men who are cowards! Down! Down! Down with administrators who are taking us down! Down! Forward with women! Forward! Forward! Amanda! Away! Viva! Open cities! Viva! 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 UBC! Viva! 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 Heavy confidence! Viva! 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 Matemata! Viva! 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 Mama Luciana! Viva! Viva!
Naki Modie Chalana, we do that baseball tip so casually. Kila kaseleza kile domestic work. Tiselelitse kutoka 1999. Utofika ka 2020. Mosele kula wa mfela. Mosebetsi wa ka o la fela ka 2020 ka COVID. Mosebetsi wa ka o fela ka COVID jwale. Ya le lo he kannete makgowa a la nketsetsa taba ya UIF.
I was provided with a UIF plan.
And I ke thotse tšhelete ya UIF jwale ka taba ya hore ke ne ke rokuwe ha ka fuwa tšhelete ya go tloa 1999 selemo se ke qadileng ka sona.
I was not given the money from the year that I started in 1999.
Hai ke bonnete he ke la ka nna ka tsamaya ka ya CCMA ka fihla ka ba jwetsa.
I went to the CCMA to the train.
CCMA ba bula case.
They opened a case.
Ha ba butse case ha nka ba ka ya case le bona ka lo bua le bona.
I never attended the case.
Ke mo fela ke go ngolla tšhelete e kana ka 9,000.
I was given an amount of 9,000.
Ya go kwa 1999 ke ke kwa 9,000.
I was only given 9,000. I was not given the whole amount. I'm still unemployed. I'm sitting there at home. That's where I will end. Thank you to UBC. For giving us a year.
The open secret.
An open secret as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Viva to the ladies, viva. Viva. A round of applause for her, please. Thank you, comrades. Then I will call another lady. I'm sorry, maybe she's Mrs. or Miss Ruth Mufula Mufulu. Muchapele mato, one more time. Ah, she's a member of UBC.
Sorry, but the previous speaker, where did she work?
She was a domestic wife.
In a household. Like
Yes. Sorry, Mamelo, I think there's a little error that we did. Ruth has just told me that now she was going to testify under the beneficiaries. I don't know who put her name there. As a general worker. Comrades, I just want to say something to all of us. I just want to convey something to all of us, comrades, and for us to be aware of it. There are funds, comrades, that are not in the FSCA or FSB records. Those funds, they are not in the FSCA records. But then, on the other hand, they had members who were contributing into those funds. Assets were available, but then those funds were put under the banking accounts so that these administrators who have not shown up today, they know what they did. They deliberately did that
deliberately did not want to come as they were invited by the Open Secrets and UBC. Sure. They knew that the UBC is going to be there, Open Secrets is going to be there. They knew that we were going to ask them questions or testify, as some of our comrades here who have already testified right now, speaking about how we were treated, how are we currently suffering, and how we are treated by these administrators. So these funds, these administrators are making secret profits. You cannot expect an administrator like Alexander Fox going live on South African radio station, Channel 72, announcing that they have a backlog of assets in the amount of 2 billion, which is sitting there in the unclaimed benefits, but then they are having difficulty in tracing them. That's very funny. But then, we as members of the UBC are tracing people, and we submit the names of the claimants to UBC to Alexander Fox. Then suddenly, Alexander Fox is simply denying for the people to have access in their benefits, for their benefits. Today I can testify and say, out of the 1,750 members or the names that we have submitted with Alexander Fox, they only paid one person, and that person is Upper Queensland. This is the honest truth. There isn't any consistency. Alexander Fox is is the oldest administrator here in South Africa. As Peter was testifying here, Alexander Fox was established in 1935. But out of 1,750 people, the names that we submitted with Alexander Fox, they only paid one person. Was this person waiting for? Was he manufacturing production in all the branches of Kimberley Clark? Because Kimberley Clark had 5 branches here in South Africa. There's 5 branches in South Africa. It's here in Springs, here in Germiston, Rodicop, Devon, and Cape Town. But then that person is the only person. Was he producing production? Was he delivering production for all the retailers? Was he running all those machines? No. But he was only two. When Alexander Fox was confronted by UBC, they said, we don't give a damn how many people we have traced, and we are not prepared because now we will continue with our selective definition of the sectors. That's what is happening today. We are frustrated with Alexander Fox. I'm just quoting them because now this is the administrator that is giving us problem on daily basis. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mamela.
Hello everyone. I'm going to give space for the judges to ask more questions. I think we've had a bit of, because we're running a bit faster, some people haven't had the space to actually tell their stories as much as they want to. So I've asked the judges if they can ask a few follow-up questions, just so some of you can come back and actually tell your stories more fully. And then at 1:45, we'll break for lunch. But I'll hand over now to the judges. Is that okay? Or to the panel. I'm so sorry. They are a panel.
Yes, we are a panel. Yes. We are here as witnesses. We are here in solidarity as comrades to hear what your experiences have been. We are deeply moved and angered by the running about that many of you have had to do at this old age, where you've spent most of your lives working very hard, and then to be in this situation where your families and your health are further put at risk is deeply, deeply disturbing. And reading the report, the bottom line report that Open Secrets has put together, I've learned so much about the work that needs to be done in civil society to hold these administrators accountable, to hold our government and the Ministry of Finance accountable, and the oversight bodies that are clearly not doing what they are meant to do. And that unaccountability from the FPS at the time to the FCSA at this point is something that needs more awareness, that needs a lot more anger directed to them by everyday people so that they finally react before it's too late. And already for many people, it is too late, which is the most disturbing part of this story. But I also wanted to emphasize that there, 44% of people over the age of 65 live in poverty, and 66% of young people live in poverty. And when we think about pension funds and benefits, there are grandchildren, many of you know this firsthand, that rely on their grandparents' pensions as their only source of protection. And there are orphans who seek unpaid pensions of their parents. So pensions are a transgenerational issue, and it affects other constitutional rights, such as housing and education and the right to social protection. And there is a constitutional obligation here which is not being met. So apart from us witnessing this and being here in solidarity, I would like to also understand the deeper steps that many of you have gone through to hold people accountable. So one case, there was mention of going to the PFA, and for a whole year, I think it was Mr. Thomas. Yes, I have the name.
Mr. Franz Itali, that's he. That's Franz Itali. Yes.
Mr. Franz Itali went to the PFA and in November last year, and to this day they have not given any response. They have not given you any response. So I would like to hear if there are more people, more claimants, more beneficiaries who have gone to these administrative bodies or through to the oversight bodies, even to the PFA, and have not received any response. I'm sure there are most of you have gone through to that extent, but I think it would be important to see what the commonalities are in terms of the responses that we're getting. And also the people that we're engaging with at these offices, because if they're not doing their jobs to take these matters forward in the right ways administratively, then that also needs to be called out, because a lot of people hide behind the bureaucracy without ever understanding their own responsibilities to beneficiaries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please come forward.
Sorry, there's a mic. Oh.
Sorry about that. And yes.
No, I'll let you JJ.
Amanda!
Wait.
Or should I say Amanda? I will retire. Andifake ingoma lapho comrades, andifake ingoma yesinyakazo lapho comrades. Faka nalithi lapho, faka nalithi comrades.
Ngeke bayazi le ndlela kuwo.
Viva UPC, viva! Viva Open Secrets, viva!
Viva!
Viva Mamelo, viva!
Viva!
Viva Panel, viva!
Viva!
Viva Moses, viva!
Viva!
Viva Linda, viva!
Viva!
Viva France, viva!
Viva!
Viva Nicolas, viva!
Viva!
Viva Rosemary, viva!
Viva!
Viva Chocos, viva! Down with our Open Secrets, sorry! Down with administration, down! Come on, down!
Yeah, true.
You know what, comrades? Yesterday, we held a meeting with the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, FSCA. They told us so many excuses. But then as the regulator, they hardly came out openly. But ultimately, they have agreed that we will have constant meetings with them. Oh yes, thank you for reminding me. Now, what we need to do as comrades, let us hold hands together. Let us work as a team. Because within the contents of the UBC policies, the UBC does not discriminate color. We go as far as, recruiting whites, colleagues, regardless of the company. If you have a claim or if you have a complaint, the UBC will be there for you. We have submitted just a few of our white colleagues and assisting them in terms of for them to claim for their benefits. Some have not received their surpluses. Because the tendency of these administrators is they have a tendency of taking the surplus money and put it in under the UBF. Or if they want to, they simply delete our names or the members of that particular fund, and after doing that, they will say this fund is an orphan fund, or it has got a query fund, or whatever the case may be, whatever they can call it, or it's a dormant fund. Now, these are some of the funds that Rosemary was explaining earlier. These funds immediately, because they delete our names. After deleting our names, a fund remains with its assets, standing there alone, and nobody will come forward and claim for it. Once you come in, it's like the tendency of what Alexander Forbes is practicing. If I am a member in one of Kimberly Clark's, if I am a member and my fund is administered by Alexander Forbes, they will write all our birth date the same. They will never say Thomas is born in 1960 and Mamelo, being a member of the fund, was born maybe in 1959. They will say Thomas, Mamelo, Chida, and Lina, all these members who are contributing into this fund, they are born on the 1st of January 1960, 1970, 1974. But suddenly, if you look, if you tell that person to come forward and go and claim, you find that Thomas's name and Thomas's birthday has changed. I was born now on the 1st of June 1946. That's the evidence that we have as the UPC. That's the frustration. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that part. I did want us to get back to Shayya's question, which is, does anybody have an experience similar to France's about dealing with the pension fund adjudicator? If anyone can share their story about dealing with the pension fund adjudicator, that's the one question. And then Peter, you didn't speak for very long, and I wanted to hear more about your issues of the FCSA not monitoring these members. But if you can have other people's experience of the pension fund.
No, thank you, ma'am. I just want to highlight something based on what Francis said. There's someone who went to Shangula. It's Mr. Hugo. His case was handled by PFA. And that gentleman, he was paid 6 million, where Alexander Fox was involved with the whole transaction. Now, the question to myself is, why the issue of France was not handled similar to Hugo's? Because maybe, if I may say, it was a political involvement or racial issue, I don't know. But Hugo, I don't know how to use the word. I won't sound like maybe I'm racist. Maybe the color was the issue. France went to PFA, but his case was not handled properly by PFA tribunal. The person is paid 6 million. Why? About France's issue was not handled properly. Now, it seems like political involvement is there, because from the case that we were exposed to, when we understand the Hugo's case, the people we handled their case, they were dismissed plus minus 33 years ago. Their issues was never handled. Up until we intervened is where now they start raising eyes and saying, you're going to handle your issues. But those guys, even now, we are still busy with their issues. But the very same person who was one of the executives in the company where these people were dismissed from. Right? Now, earlier on, Rose raised a strategic plan from FSCA, of which now, if you can look at the manner in which FSCA is handling issues, they introduced a model called a twin peak model, where now they spend plus minus 200 and something million, but they forget to handle, to monitor the administrators who are inconsistently so. So now, if now we're going to continue saying, we're going to fold our arms and say, what is there? No. I'm appealing to all the comrades. Let's pick up our swords and continue and supporting each other. I thank God who has given us this beautiful lady here, Rosemary Harper. Can you please? clearly, because if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be standing here and talking about the inconsistency of administrators, the inconsistency of PFA, the inconsistency of FSCA. Now, as earlier on, I just mentioned that Alexander Fox was established. I was not born yet. Maybe, I don't know whether there's someone who was born in 1935 here. I don't know. But the FSCA being established in 1991. Now, look at the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, because of time, I'll cut.
Sorry, I just want to mention two funds because they come up a lot. And it concerns the adjudicator, so I'm really responding to your question. First of all, she's not paid 6 million rand, that was too good. She's paid a lot less than that. But her office, the adjudicator, is overwhelmed with cases from two particular funds. One is the Private Security Sector Provident Fund, and the FSCA has just recently announced it's completed an investigation and has kicked out a lot of the trustees for corruption. But that fund has been a disaster since establishment, and it's being administered by SALT. I think that's also under investigation. And so the adjudicator, every time she does an annual report, she talks about this private security fund. And it's absolutely terrible. It's the poorest of the poor people, I mean, low-paid workers, standing guard at offices and houses and so on, being forced, because this is the one sector in the country where they're all forced to belong to this fund. And yet it's just a shambles. The other one is the Chemical Industries National Provident Fund, which was administered by NBC for about 25 years. It was established by the Chemical Workers Industrial Union, now SIPAWU, and lots of allegations of corruption and so on. They eventually terminated NBC's appointment, I think in 2020, moved it to Akani for big litigation, and then Akani proved to be problematic as well. They've just moved it now to Momentum. Akani went to court, has got an order saying moving into Momentum is unlawful for whatever reason. So I think when we talk about the adjudicator, I think we must have a little bit of sympathy and don't assume that she's just ignoring everybody. It may be that she should have been reporting back more, but these two particular funds are flooding her office because they're so badly run. And the question may be asked is why did it take so long for the FSCA to move those trustees of the PSFP Private Security Fund and what their conduct is in relation to the CIPF. But the current trustees of the CIPF do seem to be trying to fix things, but they are hit with litigation every time they move. Whether they are honest people, I don't know, but I just wanted to mention it.
Thank you very much. Comrades, you today or Rosemary with their I explain. Do we understand? Kapag kita tidak lepas sul, kapag chaka, kapag stay, unala sauba. Okay, comrades. For my comrade there, he wants to explain just a brief explanation.
All right. It's quite important to re-understand anything as we continue. Panel ya rona ho na le question about it. Ya hore that they explain he's been to the administrators trying to claim for Chilete Eye, and it's been almost a year now for so-called intelligent people who are financial gurus who should calculate your future of your money. They still cannot calculate his money for now, his administrators. So, how to tell you this? I get it. Okay, for retirement, yeah. So now, I think when they ask the question, if has anybody else gone through the same process, I did not see a response which signaled or you did not understand the question. According to sitting, helping each and everyone here, but to coming to me, they complain about the same problem. The very same problem, administrators not opening up, your administrators not responding to loan, and even worse, not even knowing your administrators will give up. Most of people here, they only know who Renexebelet's a Cadbury, but who administrators Cadbury, they have no clue. So, we need to emphasize, we need to listen quite careful to the panel, high reported questions, so that they will also understand. So to answer you on that gentleman's questions about the administrators ignoring him for this long, 80% of the people in here are having the same problem. And if so, we would also have their documents as a follow-up. We can have all of their details following up from here if you want that. So I was just here to make sure that they understand you and they understand what you say, so that you will also understand how critical the situation is about these things. All right. Kilwete right or kilwete man? All right.
Good day, good people. My name is Robovoina. I'm the respondent from the question of our panel about the PFA. Yes, from some branch, we assist people who didn't get help from the administrators. The first one was the lady from the name of Pakistan. He had a problem with the sunlight, that was never picked up the post. Until I can access to that, because I was also assisting him to get her there to the sunlight when she was picked up the post. Then applying telephone to the PFA. Then the letter says he got a response from PFA saying that they received a complaint, they are considering it. Then the second one was Daniel Raboroko. So ever since we the appointment sent it to the PFA, we are still waiting for the response of the matter. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Zelo. I'll ask Mamelo to come forward and say something.
I'm also going to hand over the mic now. We're just going to explain something about the installation that's of everyone to the women's bathrooms. Awande, who is leading us on the exhibition, will just explain what is happening and how you can interact with the installation.
Perfect. Thanks, Mamelo. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. I'll be super quick. I know we're all hungry. So we have an installation or an exhibition on both sides of the wing. The main part is on the right-hand side, so where the women's bathroom is. And they have a couple of components, just a visual representation of what's been going on, what we're talking about. Some case studies are also exhibited, and they're going to be familiar because they did accompany the bottom line Open Secrets Investigative Reports. And essentially, another part of it is that there is some screen printing. So for those of you who are not too familiar with what screen printing is, we have a couple of slogans that we think are really powerful, messages of today and going forward until unpaid pensions are no longer a human rights violation. So we have don't steal our pension benefits, which you can find on the pillar over there. We have Defend and Protect Workers' Rights, and just a reminder that it's unpaid, not unclaimed. So please feel free to come. You can make some. We have 3 lovely colors. We have also some protective PPE so that we can all protect our clothes, and also can start a conversation of what's happening, where to from here, and just to get to know each other better. On the left-hand side, the west wing, we also have, for those of you who aren't too comfortable with working with ink, we have another interactive stand where you can share your thoughts on pensions and unpaid pensions and benefits, etc., etc. So please do. It takes like 5 minutes or less to do both. We'd love to hear from you further. Thanks so much. Cool. Lunch. Right. All right. So we're gonna have some. There we go. We're gonna go for lunch. Just gonna be in the courtyard where registration was. I heard it's scrumptious. So yeah, we can go. And we will call you back when it's time to come back in. Great. You can do the exhibition during lunch too.
My arm.
1:45.
Who's going? Who? No worries, no worries, no worries. I wonder if there's a way to pause it.
Is there a way to pause?
Yeah. Because really.
Okay, now we are on our third session, which we will ask the beneficiaries to come forward and
we are left with 6 people who come and testify as beneficiaries. Now, I will start. Can we start? Okay, sure. Okay.
Hello everyone. I hope this is the one today. Jeff, how are you? Wait a minute, you Raman. Yeah, you after our country song. Jeff is coming, or then Jeff is. I just wanted to clarify something important, is that the judges here are here to listen. They cannot promise anything. They aren't here to actually, they're here to listen to. And at the end of this session today, they will prepare a statement. And that statement will be taken by Open Secrets and BBC, and we will continue to campaign together. But the judges themselves, they cannot do anything but listen to. And they are listening well, and they're going to make some wonderful recommendations. Yeah, so please, can we keep that in mind? Yeah, we're not asking them to do anything. Unfortunately, we all know how difficult it is to try to campaign to get benefits. So, yeah, we'll work together. Again, next year, our conferencing, lots of other things. But maybe we can do that now.
Thank you, Marvelo. But before we start, there's something important that I want to put forward to all of us and to make everybody aware. This is just a small announcement that I know some of you are seeing Rosemary Hunter, for the first time, all right? Today. Okay. Now, during the time in Rosemary's case, when she revealed about this pension fund, the person who was representing Rosemary in her case is Advocate Jeff. Advocate Jeff. No! So now
she should have got somebody else.
Let's give him a big hand. He did it for free. He did it for free.
Thank you, Advocate Jeff. It's good to see you. At least, you know, this is the first time that we hear this. It's good news. Thank you, Rose. Okay, let's go back to our program. I will start by calling beneficiary Ms. Ruth Uluzi.
Viva!
Amanda. As I'm here to talk about my mother and both of my parents. I'd like to use my mother standing. Ke apetse mama le papa le
as a policeman for started in 1959, then after 1993.
So apart from my mom and my dad, my father started in 1953 until
1993.
1993.
Then GPF.
Then GPF,
Again claim.
after claiming,
we are over age.
they told us we cannot access any funds as we're over age. They did not even help us with the burial of the parent.
So Mama Ella fund administrator
All mutual.
So all mutual applied send SMS by transferred to Fairheads.
All mutual said they transferred some funds to Fairheads. They talked about the amount.
Then we contact Fairheads.
They said I must contact Fairheads.
So I contact Fairheads.
I did so.
So Fairheads the necessary document WhatsApp.
They needed the necessary documents with WhatsApp.
And then Barreto said that a covering letter
As well as the covering letter to detail why do we need the money.
Then after WhatsApp, email.
They then said I must email after the WhatsApp.
I did email.
And
I'm so
3 occasions,
how
nothing came to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth.
So can you something important?
After applying and nothing happening?
No, recently when I need messages again, I'm full Gmail account. I didn't make a woman. But the unclaimed inheritance.
There's a flood of messages that come in that says I have some inheritance to get.
So
Please take heed of those.
Thank you, Ruth, for bringing that up, because majority of the people that we assist as the UBC, they come across such Gmail emails, and they simply put, you have an unclaimed amount like 711,000 that you must contact them. That's a scam. Let us all be careful about that. We always tell them in our corporate meetings about this, they need to be careful not to respond. Okay, comrades. The next person who will come forward is Ms. Margaret Anna Songo.
How are you, comrades?
From Orange Farm.
Margaret Mfama from Orange Farm.
Orange. Here on behalf of my late husband.
I'm representing my late husband.
Due tabaya after before
Before he died, he was sick at work.
2012. Terminator.
He was terminated
2013.
2013 at work. He could not cope as a king.
Then,
as he was sick, he got nothing. He just got UIF.
Up to that until
he passed on. 2020.
And company for 26 years.
He was working for the particular company for 26 years. He was working for them. They had some pension schemes.
After that, provident fund.
Then they were told they were transferred to a provident fund.
So after more now, I can move to all next. So then now I can say I can
as he did not know what to do, I could not do anything also because I was not involved.
Until now, Alexander Forbes.
I don't know that they said there's some money with Alexander Forbes.
I
don't know where to start and where to end.
So, because of
as I'm standing here, I want UBC to help me to know where I start and where to end.
Because where must I start?
I don't know where to start.
Yeah, you will.
Thank you.
Now, the next person who should come forward and testify as a beneficiary is Miss or Mrs. Faki Sikatule. After lunch, comrades, after lunch, once my stomach is full, I want to sleep. That's why we can hardly clap our hands. Stomach is full.
I'm Twaki Stratole
from Sharpen.
From Sharpen.
I'm here to tell you about my father, my brother, my father. It's me, it's my brother, it's my father, it's my nephew. So my brother is Freddy Sichatule. I'm Twaki Stratole Felix. And then this other one is Titus Sichatule. My father was from Sichatule. I've been filling the forms all the time. We've been filling these forms, I don't know, from 2019 or something. And then we've been going to go back to the meetings with Mr. Mukwena and Mr. Mugwi. They were helping us. The meetings were in and Shanghai Stadium. We used to go there on Wednesdays, and I think Miss Rosemary came to Ibadan some time ago. We are still going to the meetings, but until today, nothing has ever happened. We haven't got anything from this. And then we went to, for my UIF, they said us to Sanlam because I was waiting for the doctors. We went to Sanlam with Mr. Mugwena, and Mr. Mugwena was the assistant all the time. When we got to Sanlam, we were sent from post to post, and they didn't even want to move, so that we couldn't explain everything to them or anything. The manager of Sanlam, he told us he's upstairs. When we went upstairs, the three of us, he said, who's coming to see him? I said, he said I must come to you. We are from UBC. And then he said to me, he's busy. He's phoning. He must go downstairs. When we got downstairs, the gentleman who was working downstairs was new. He said he's only got 2 weeks. He was working there for 2 weeks only. And then we tried to explain to him what we are looking for, and he said, no, they are the phones, the public phone squares in the first floor. Most of them was not working. At last, at about, I think, 20 to 4, the other phone was working. When we phoned Johannesburg, actually we tried to get those mails, but it was late, so nobody answered. And then they told us to go to Sanlam, to either Victoria or Dubai. He said, we don't have money, because we got a letter that said, I must go to the nearest Sanlam offices. So they told us not to come there anymore, and then that is that.
Sorry, is this on? Yes. Can I please ask a question to Swati? Before thank you, ma'am. I think you've shared just the exhaustion. I can hear it in your voice. I'd like to know, though, should you be successful, should you actually get your pension payout or your benefit payout? No. It's for a number, and I'm saying if that were to be given to you as it is rightfully owed to you, what would you use it for? Like, what are the outstanding things that you need to do that not getting your payout is stopping you from doing in your life?
Or if
yes.
I ever get the money.
Yes.
Okay. About 2 years ago, there was a storm in the location. And where I stayed, that was my father's house. But I'm the owner now. The house cracked because I was struck by lightning twice. And when that lightning struck, the roof of the veranda went through the fence. And that veranda is still like that, but we took the roof. The roof is still somewhere at the back of the house. The second one struck me again when I came through the gate from the shops. And it struck the same place. And then I went to report. When I reported, where did I report? Yes. And they told me, is there anybody, has anybody died in that house? He said no. But I was bent by the lightning. You see what the reporter said with the councillor? They said if nobody died in there, they can't help me to put either the roof or the veranda. And it was someone from the newspapers sent lightning, straight the next door house plus mine. They told her the same story until he's got children who are waiting. I don't have any colleagues with network. It's only my daughter and my son and my two grandchildren. They are going to school. The other one is doing matric. The other one is in standard 4, grade 4. So until now, I'm still staying in that veranda. When I'm doing my garden, I like gardening. Everybody is in the sea. It's like now it's going to fall. I keep on looking back when I'm cutting my roses or I'm trying to take this out. So that's his death. So if I ever get the money, the first thing to start with is to look for someone who can take that veranda down, maybe no more veranda, you know, and close that where the lightning striking there. Because now I'm afraid to be there even if it's just raining. So I'll just extend the sitting room with the money maybe and put some in the back. Some tiles in the yard for paving in the yard so that we can maybe
Thank you, Mama. You know, this is a very painful and touching story. Very painful. Okay, let's move on, comrades. The next person that I will call is Miss Dorothy, or Mrs. Dorothy Brett.
Comrades, good afternoon.
I'm going to talk on behalf of my husband who worked at the Nestle in here.
Yes,
He started having TB.
and then treatment we taught treatment
He then got treatment for the TB from the employment site. They never allowed him to come to the townships for medication or treatment. He was injured. He lost a finger through the bomb that they threw him. He was not given anything. After a year, he passed on. You have two of my children who were 8 and 6. I struggled to get some help and could not find one.
Until Rosemary at Zone 7 Stadium.
Until we met Rosemary Hunter at Zone 7 to explain to us about the money. Then I got wiser that day. Then I followed UBC.
Then Rana had meeting until we apply.
Then we went on until we got a response.
Responding fane ya monaka ine positswe ke kwa Kwapeng le ba motse Gwadeni.
The fund then wrote a wrong name. It wrote Guardian instead of Kwapeng.
Ya hlaloseha hore ha ba tsebe motho oo.
They said they don't know that particular person.
Mafile ka nka boikarabelo ba ho latella mosebetsi fae.
I pursued that to rectify,
Surname eo ke e behe hantle.
so that to rectify the surname.
Nthwena e entswe ka 2017.
That was done in 2017.
Up to now, I so fumane niks.
Up to now, I have not got anything.
Ke hodisitse bana ke le mong.
I had to look after the kids alone.
Ke bohloko haholo.
It's painful for me
Ntho tseo.
because of
Empa ke leboha boikgathatso bo UBC e bo entseng.
I'm thankful for what UBC did for me.
Ke a leboha.
Thank you.
Comrades. You know, UBC and Open Secrets, we need to fight together. We must, comrades. You know, listening to such stories very Okay, let's move on now. The next person that I'm going to call as a beneficiary is Mr. Tiriso Matemi.
Okay, good day everyone. I'd like to greet our panel, Ms. Rosemary Hunter, UBC and Open Secret. My name is Tidiso Mandebesi. I'm from Guatemala in Spain. My issue here is with the fund administrator called MIFA, Metal Industries. I'm here on behalf of my grandmother, Anastasia Khanyahu, who worked for telephone manufacturers of South Africa. She worked there for 20 years. In 2012, me and my family went to the MIFA offices to make a claim. Unfortunately, my grandmother passed away in 2007. So according to them, the surplus apportionment date doesn't qualify for her to get the benefit of the surplus. So what I find strange here is that in one of our UBC meetings, one lady made a claim in 2019, and her father passed away in 1982, which I find it inconsistent from MIFA. So what I'd like to read, it's a pamphlet here from the Financial Services Board regarding the law of surplus pension fund. In terms of the Act, all stakeholders of the fund registered under the Pension Funds Act, which after valuation have a surplus, have a right to share in this surplus. This valuation date is called the surplus apportionment date, and can be any time between 7th December 2001 and 7th December 2004 to share in the surplus. You must be a member of the fund between 1980 and the surplus apportionment date. All these dates that I've mentioned, my granny was alive. But when we went there, we were told that she doesn't qualify. So I'm asking maybe our panel and everyone who's eligible to help us. And the financial services must act against these fund administrators and hold them accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiliso. Maybe just to remind everybody, Tiliso Matemis, who has just we've listened to right now, we were interviewed together with Ms. Rosemary Hunter and Simon Makam. We were interviewed in the Daily Show, and it was live sometime, I can't remember what was it, last year? It was last year. So he was there. He was speaking the same thing as he has just mentioned about his dilemma. So, yeah, right. Okay, now we have the last person who has to testify. Oh, Mamelo, before we call the last person, two more people. Oh. All right, I'll call Mr. Cabello Moses Tali. Sorry, I've skipped one. Sorry. Mr. Simon Matambu, please come forward. Sorry, Baba, I asked you, but
Good afternoon, the panel, Amanda Rufus, and all the people involved. The UBC, Open Secret, and also our mother at heart, Rosemary Hunter, and also the officials of the UBC, Peter Malika, Ephraim Mabe, Lumpia, and also Maloko. Then I'll speak for my father, who worked for 4 different factories: Elgin, Hard Metals, Telephone, and Pilkington, which is PFG, for plus minus 33 years in total. But he worked for Pilkington Brothers last 16 years. He was working at a very hot place in Pilkington, manufacturing the cars. We know that the Pension Act, the pension fund, if you go on pension, you only receive 1/3 of your pension. And then the 2/3, you're gonna get it monthly. And then if you die, or if you pass on, it goes to your spouse or children. But it never happens on our father's case. My father became ill, then he had to apply for a pension because of his working condition. Because he kept working, because he had a family, he liked his family. In our family, we are a family of plus minus of 10, let me say 10. So, after my father went on pension in 1985, then he lived for only 5 years, then he passed on in 1990. So what we knew that the man was supposed to go to my mother. But it never happened. After he passed away on April 1990, then in May, we were told that the money is finished. There was no money, which will go to my mother. Then which we found that strange. And then we tried to go to Pilkington to claim for those money because I was the last one on the boys at home. I accompanied my mother to and fro, going to Pilkington Brothers' office, trying to claim those money, but in vain. Until our mother passed on in 2001. We never paid those monies. Then in 2009, me and my brother went to in Joburg trying to get money for the surplus because he did work at the hard metals. So in Anderson, 42 Anderson. But when we were there, we were told that my father doesn't qualify. Now when we asked why, we were told that because he passed on in 1990. And it was not his choice to die. It was God's will. So now they make as if now he chose to die. They said those who were living by that time, because it was 2009, they said those who were living by that time or those who passed away 2008 upwards, not 2007 downwards. Those who passed away 2008 upwards would qualify, but my father didn't. I know that even in our branch, there in Matema, because I'm living in Sakane, and my name is Simon Matamu, there are people also who undergone similar situation. And I'm thanking UBC and Open Secret because now we're going to fight this war, and I think we will win in the future. Then that was for my mother. And then the other one, yes, I am a beneficiary. And then in Sapi, because there were some funds which were closed, and then UBC helped me to lay an objection on those funds to FSCA, like the Sapi Pension Fund 6751 of 1967. Here it is, you can show you. Then they did respond, but not fully at the FSCA, because they said they were going to give me the answer in 90 days. But since 2019, they never responded. We are still waiting, but we are still going to fight in the help of Open Secret and UBC. Then on my case, okay, now I'm going to differ. On my case, I did also work in Sapi from 1978 to 2014. But, okay, I took an early retirement in 2014. I worked for 36 years in one company, in Sapi. was going to get a lump sum because I worked for a lot of years in the same company. Only to find that I was only paid for 3 months, having worked for 36 years. When I asked them why so little money. Then I was told that they were only paying me for the last 5 years. Now I'm asking them, what about the other 31 years contributing to UIF? If only I'm going to get only 5 years period, which is unfair. I find it really, really unfair. Because it means I wasted a lot of time working for same company to find that I will be paid only a small amount. So I'm thanking you, BC. I'm thanking you all, the panel, everybody, and Ms. Rosemary Hunt in particular. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'll now call Mr. Kabelo Moses Kalele.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters, and the panel as well, and to you, Sister Rosemary. I'm grateful to stand here. My name is Moses Kabelo Salini. I'm staying Orange Farm under the UBC. Our headman there is Brother Briggs under the radio theater. So my problem is I have worked for a glass manufacturing like a brother there. Then the name of the company was Atlas. So I worked for Atlas from 1984 till I left there by 1994. And then I was a quality control there. And then I go to another company of the class. That was Tech Class till date. Then it's where I got the disability. Because I got a problem, I can't walk properly. I got no balance. Then my problem is we are having a night-birth Provident found. Maybe it's fall under federal, I'm not sure. Then they took me to the hospital. Then the company, the manager and the company, they put the money in the bank. Even now today, I don't have the original slip for how much it was the money, how much they take the money. Then what happened is, I just see a small slip in the ATM, because that bank is the one that we use to get our wages from the company every Friday. And then I invested all that, the money that I've got, others on that bank. Then what happened is, the bank, they sent me the letters. They sent me the letters that they closed the account. Then they sent these letters to me without getting anything from them. Then from there, I joined the UBC. I filled the form and then they sent them to FSCA. Then there I got still the letter from FSCA here in my files. They told me that the people who were before 1994, they are no more registered in the computer. They all cancelled everything. Then from Randburg, then they sent me to Vereeniging for SARS. Again at SARS Vereeniging, they told me the very same thing. Then I said unto them, if I was killing somebody, they won't cancel everything from their computer. Even my children, the other people, yes and yes, it will be there. And knowing that I've killed somebody, because of my work is nothing to them. Well, I just leave it like that. Then this year by February, on my phone I got a message from UBC, from Cape Town. Then on that message, SMS, I never realized them because they say I must fill the form and bring unto them there in Cape Town. So I just stay and waiting for the forms to come by the post office. And then on April, they phoned me again on this phone. They say, we're still waiting for your forms. I say, I'm still waiting for the forms. There is no form at the post office. They say, no, take your form, go to the internet and do the forms and fill them. I've done the way they have told me and took the form.
Thank you, comrade. Thank you, Charlie. That is Adele and the Boa. Before I call the last person who will come and testify as a beneficiary, I think Mamelo has explained to us already. The two ladies and the gentleman here in front of us, the judges, have by two Tsamaisa the triple Tarunaba Sepi, Matu Mamela. Again, how about Mamit, Kimo have one of Saisa, the Dama, what I said report by Fed, Open Security, the UBC, or Musomurza Mamutatu Bufi, put some ice that the Titibo Zenatano, Tamana of Yauka, yes, Yauka, Yanebo. Asor Musumu, Ralitiva or the Skivena Bua, Kalipela Laboro. Again, Che, we put this a Hobona in the UK. Impact, Harskiven Raliven, whatever to Mamela, how much better, but have Satamayena, myself open security, the UBC, or Hela, Repona or Ronavana, recommend now, so much in okay. What are the beneficiaries of the data? Give me this. Elisima Sedela.
Good day, everybody. Mnanima Abu Elisima Silena from Pensions on Farm. UPC as a Babu Bricks. Nendoda yam sengekho.
Yeah, because of my late husband,
Endiyibhalisileyo.
who I have written,
Angakafumani respond.
still no response.
Ndibhalisele nomama wam notata wam.
I've also included my mother and my father.
Angakafumani respond.
I have not had any response.
Ndibalekile kakhulu yazi nomyeni wam.
I've gone a long way with my husband.
Umyeni wam ebesebenza before usebenze eMetropolitan.
He first worked at Metropolitan.
Waphuma khona bamenze retrenchment.
He was retrenched.
Wafumana umsebenzi kaFuchs Lubricants.
Then he went to Foods.
Wasebenza khona ngamakhemikhali.
Worked there with chemicals.
Walimala emsebenzini 2003.
Got injured at work in 2003.
Elimele emsebenzini ispine.
He had a spine injury
Ne-throat cancer.
and throat cancer.
Ebelungu bamphika.
They just denied the happenings.
Ngoko kulimala emsebenzini akafumananga nesenti.
Just getting injured at work, he never got a cent.
2006 washona.
He died in 2006.
Ndibaleke usuka 2006.
I've been running since 2006.
2014 nayeka.
I rested in 2014.
Ndabona ukuthi incedwa alikho.
I could see there's no help coming forth.
Ndibuhlungu kule ndawo ndime kuyo.
I'm very, very sad because of this.
Njengoba nindibona ndime apha.
As you see me standing here,
Ndisapotwe ekhaya apho ndizalwa khona.
yes, I'm looking forward to home where I'm born.
Ndicela i-UBC
I'm asking UBC
lisincede kule ngxaki esikuyo.
to help us out of this problem we are in.
Uthi ndiyabona apha emhlabeni ukuthi umuntu omnyama udakele uhlupheka.
I can see that the black man is born to suffer.
Ndiyabulela anoya kakhulu.
I'm thankful I won't go forward.
Ngoba ke ndaya kakhulu le nto yomyeni wami indivusela amahlaka indenzela i-stress.
Because if I can talk about that, I brought stress to myself. Thank you.
I'm running out of words by listening to such stories. I'm also like the rest of us, guys, like the rest of you. I am still battling for my father's pension fund benefits. I don't care whether he was a Lesotho national. He's from Lesotho. And I've mentioned that even yesterday with the FSCA. I told Takalani and the rest of them. So, together, we must be a united family. Anuta continua. Okay, comrades. I think now we'll break for tea. Tea is here outside.
No, we can't go together. No, we can't go together. No, you guys go, and then I'll go after you. But please don't finish. Including Beggett?
Hello, comrade. Ja, die wat gesteerd de vraag was toegessen de ziek net. Ik zeg, Braniga, het is weer best goed dat die wat gesteerd is zo net. Weet dat. Hola, comrade, weet dat. Het is weer best goed dat Yeah, thank you, comrade.
I think this time, after the tea break, we handed over to the judges' deliberation. The panel.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for today, thank you so much for having us all here. I'm going to let my co-panelists know.
Yes. Thank you so much, comrades. We deliberated upstairs for a bit of time after spending the afternoon paying witness to your struggles for accountability, your struggles for justice in the face of a very shameful status quo when it comes to the reality around unpaid benefits. And we've come to understand this as a national crisis. We've come to understand this as a clear example of state regulators who have constitutional and moral responsibility to intervene effectively in the public interest, but have failed to do so. And it has fallen to whistleblowers like Rosemary Hunter and Michelle Mitchley for taking a stand on this transgenerational issue, which needs to be addressed and resolved urgently. But we also want to acknowledge the role of activists and the role of the Unpaid Benefits Campaign and Open Secrets in bringing these issues to light, in trying to coordinate a response from civil society and on behalf of beneficiaries and with communities. And really, we want to also acknowledge that the only fund administrator that thought it important enough to attend today's people's hearing was Liberty. And we find it scandalous that none of the others bothered to come here today and to witness the stories, the blood, the sweat, and the work, and the lifelong efforts that many of you have taken, and millions have taken, surely, to have some sense of justice for your families and for your loved ones and for your own selves in terms of the the hard work that you've put in and the payment that you deserve. I think the most shameful thing about this, we discussed, is that the ones who are most affected by apartheid have never seen any accountability or benefits, and it's more difficult to claim from decades before. So there are these administrative failures that are systemic and that are rooted in our history that need to be addressed. A few recommendations that we've thought about together, and these need to be built on by all of us, because this is a collaborative space, and we hope that what we are recommending will do exactly that, and will open up spaces and opportunities for those people who should be listening to you today, but have not paid any attention, to finally hear the toi-toi and the cries that they must face, the music that they must face. So there is no recourse, and I think that has been the most appalling thing. Firstly, we want the FSCA to serve the public and the marginalized, and to penalize fund administrators for non-compliance. We also would want the website where you can go and look for your funds, and the search engine that they are posting as a step forward to actually be zero rated, because we understand that there is a digital divide in South Africa. There must also be a serious exploration of psychosocial support. Listening to you today, it is very clear that there is trauma and there is stress to even communicate and speak about what you have endured over the past few decades or the past few years. And it is important for families and loved ones who have been robbed of the most basic comforts after gross exploitation of working in this economy that is in a country that is one of the most unequal in the world. And we also note the conflict of interest that these fund administrators dabble, and that needs to be addressed by the state. So our most important and central recommendation and appeal is to call on the Portfolio Committee to invite the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Finance, which we can see has not bothered to attend today's people's hearing, and that is unacceptable. But we want the chairperson, Mr. Maswangani, to invite Open Secrets, the Unpaid Benefits Campaign, and whistleblowers like Rosemary Hunter to present on a way forward to address this national crisis, which affects more than 5 million people. And that for us is where we need to go in these recommendations, and where we need to go in the actions that we follow this important day, which I think was the first time that many of you were given the platform to express the struggles that you had to endure. So we were humbled to sit here and to bear witness, but really there needs to be action. Amandla, comments.
Well, that statement was made on behalf of all three of us, and we agreed that each of us will add whatever we want to say. What I want to say is the most amazing thing about this national disgrace to me is that you and the people like you, billions of people like you, are not asking for a favor. You're not asking for charity. You're just saying, let me have the money which I saved, or which my family members saved for when we are older. That's all. Just give us the money, give us our money. We're not asking them to give you somebody else's money. And it's just an astonishing thing to me that it can be treated with such disregard by people in authority across the board, to deal with you as if you're begging and you're a bit of a nuisance. And it's time that they all face the fact that all you're doing is saying, I want the money which is already mine. I just want it paid out to me. I also want to say that it's time that I congratulate and applaud UBC and Open Secrets for what they've done. I think it's remarkable. I think it is remarkable that two small NGOs have been able to take on the responsibility for making this a public issue. when in fact it's the responsibility of so many large institutions in our society. It's a shame that they've had to do it, but they're to be congratulated on what they've done. And of course, everybody congratulates Ms. Rosemary, and I also congratulate her. The other thing I just want to add is we've laid the focus on the Finance Committee of the National Assembly for two reasons. Firstly, they are the oversight body for what is done by public institutions. The public institutions are ultimately accountable to Parliament, and they're accountable to Parliament through the Finance Committee. So that's the first reason why the Finance Committee should take this up. The second is that the Finance Committee, the Parliament, is the entity through which our democracy operates, or should operate. It's the place where the public should be able to go when they have big problems which require proper solutions. And it's the duty of Parliament to take this up, not just as the oversight body, but also as the body which brings democracy to all of us and brings democratic accountability. They have a duty to the people. That's clear from the Constitution. It's time that they heard the people on this very important issue. Thank you.
I'm mostly covered by my two previous panels, but because we are all comrades here, I will have to also say something. Because even if we're covered, when I say something here, it's important. So I first want to say in Miss Zulu, dear Bonga Sibisa, I am in awe of how brave it must be, scared it must be to stand up to power, to do the work that these two brave NGOs do, to go and find the truth, and the bravery that you as beneficiaries are undertaking to make sure that this isn't forgotten, and that no matter how old or how long this claim has been laying there, that you're not going to stop fighting. So I'm very, very grateful for everyone's bravery. I also want to say thank you for making sure that this isn't just a South African workers issue, and that we know that when it rains on all of us, and that we include the history of migrant labor in the struggle, and the history of comrades who are in Mozambique and Malawi, who could very easily be forgotten by the pension system if this group of people didn't fight for them. And so I also want to thank you for that. And I wish everyone the best. And I really hope that this is something that will become public discourse, that everyone will be talking about the fact that people are being denied, as their own money. It's not, you're not asking for anybody, you're asking for the money that you saved and you worked for for years. So thank you very much.
Thank you again to the panel. It's very much appreciated that you have listened closely, attentively, and your words, your recommendations are going to be taken forward. I can guarantee you one thing: we might be small, we might be few in number, but we are strong. And I was talking to some comrades out here during the break, and I said, you know, since we started the UBC, and Open Secrets is a fairly young organization, relatively speaking as well, but since we started the UBC, you know, it has been a hard journey. We've had very few resources, very little capacity, but we are making ground, comrades. We are making ground. This issue of unpaid benefits is going to become a national issue. It will become, it already is becoming one. We can see the changes in attitude of the FSCA, even if it's slow, even if it's not enough. We can begin to see the changes in the consciousness of the public and realizing that this is an issue that is outrageous. It should make us all at the same time very sad and very angry, and wanting to say, it encompasses, I oftentimes say when people say unpaid pensions, yeah, but that's an individual issue. I'm saying, no, this is an issue of South African history. It has everything in it. race, class, gender, work exploitation, you name it, all of it. It is there. And so what we want to say as the UBC and Open Secrets is, first of all, thank you to all of you, mostly, for coming today, for telling your stories. Comrades, the time is coming. We can see this in the world. We can see it in our own country. There's a lot of ferment in society. There's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of desperation. But out of that, there's going to be change. Change is coming. And the question is, what kind of change? And for those of us that are here, again, we are part of a much larger struggle and movement. But that change is going to, I have no doubt in my mind, that change is going to benefit ordinary working people. It is time, way past the time, in this country as well as in many other countries, when the voices of ordinary people, the experiences, the power of ordinary people is felt by those who we have put into political power and those who have economic power. It is time for us to have a true democracy. It is time for us to have true equality, and for dignity and respect to be restored to the people who have created the wealth of this country. It is you that have created the wealth of this country. So comrades, I want to say just in closing, first of all, thanks again to all of the Open Secret staff. I know Mamelo, you've worked incredibly hard, and your team. I'm not going to name everybody in the Open Secrets team, but there are many comrades that have been working hard over the last while. My colleague from the International Labor Research Information Group, Comrade Leila, has been running the posters over there all day, and thank you as well. And to comrades from the Open Secrets as a team, as well as the UBC, thank you again for being here. And this is the start of something that is going to take us forward. I don't think we're going to be winning easy victories anytime soon, but we will, comrades, we will move forward and we will win this battle eventually. We will. Come on! Thank you, comrades, very much. Please go home safe. Please travel safe, all of you, and we will see each other on the streets. Okay.
Okay, guys, let's flip machines.
Yeah, that.